What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Dissect the Film, where we dissect your favorite films, film franchises, and TV. Today, on episode 78 of the podcast, we are talking about the 1998 sci-fi horror film from Robert Rodriguez, The Faculty. I am your host, Robert Parker. Joining me, as always, the wonderful Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming. My brain loves to just go, what are you going to say? What are you going to say about this movie? How are you going to describe it when you announce it? It always, my brain just shuts off for a second, but we did it. We got through it.
It's like me trying to say what I like about a movie. I'm like,
I liked it.
You're like, what do you think about it? And I'm like, I like it. I'm like, I don't know where else to go from there.
Hey, you know what? It's good enough. That's
it works for what we're doing.
Exactly.
Well, then you say stuff, and I'm like, damn it, I should have said that.
Yeah, that happens. Today, though, we were talking about The Faculty, which is funny because I have this double pack that I showed off during our Phantoms review, and now I get to finish the other side. We're talking about this movie today.
Yep, you get all of it.
And thank you to Dustin from the Flicks and Friends podcast for suggesting this one this week, because I came in unprepared, and he said, cover The Faculty. And I was like, well, we were going to cover it at some point, so why not now?
Might as well.
Right? Continue the trend of talking about horror movies, even though this episode will technically be out in November, but hey, who cares?
Shit?
Yeah,
you can watch horror when it's not
I know,
Halloween.
100%. And to be honest, people have been shouting us out on Twitter, calling us horror podcasts. And you know what? I'm not even going to fight it. I'm not even going to say, well, we're technically not, but you know what? I don't care. Thank you very much for shouting us out. I remember seeing this a long time ago. This was something I think I saw as a kid, because this movie came out in 98. So I was 7. I think I saw it a little bit later. I think it was just, I remember seeing H2O, Halloween H2O, which came out the same year, which also stars Josh Hartnett.
Yep, I do.
And I was like, oh, I think they were like roughly in the same section of the Hollywood Video in my town. And I was like, well, I like the other movie he was in. Let's see. And he has the same terrible haircut that he has in H2O. So let's give this a go. I don't really remember it from when I was a kid, so it was kind of fresh going into it, but I have listened and watched some reviews on it recently. I watched Hack the Movies review on this, so I'm going to shout them out because they did an excellent review on this movie. And yeah, I'm very excited to talk about it because it's definitely a 90s movie. Definitely has that 90s movie feel to it, which I love. I have no ill will towards a movie feeling like the time that it came out. Hey,
some people seem to.
Yeah, some people just want everything to feel modern or feel right. It's like you do realize, like,
the way the world works.
Nope. Times have changed, and times were different. And yes, certain things aren't okay now that they were. Well, they weren't okay back then as well. But just language and all that stuff. Even things that were said in this movie, you're like, oh, okay. Very mild, but still like, well, that couldn't be said today unless it was meant in, the frame of whatever story they're trying to tell.
It doesn't, I agree. I don't think it was something like, obviously it's some stuff that's not acceptable and stuff I wouldn't tell anybody, but it's like stuff like that, it just doesn't really bother me. It's like it's in the movie for a reason. Right. It's not like the movie. It's not in the movie to be hateful. It's just it's part of what it was like then. Right.
I'm not watching the movie going, oh no, that's awful. Like it's just that was when the movie was made, and those were the things that were. I mean, to be honest, like things that were said in this movie that are offensive were said back then.
Yeah,
like in schools. And they're not okay. We're not advocating that they're okay to say. We're not.
But it was
that was just the way people talked back then, and of course it's going to bleed into media.
Yeah, we're not
time.
It's not a fact of, like you said, making it okay or even excusing it, but it's being realistic.
Yeah,
it's like we literally before we did this, we're not getting into the movie. Before we did this, before recording this, we literally just watched Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark from 2019. And I'm not going to get into it in case we cover it, but there are derogatory slang for Hispanics being used in that movie in a hateful way.
Yeah.
But the movie takes place in the late 60s. That's had that happen back then. Hell, it happens now. It's not acceptable, but that's just how it is.
Listen, Leonardo DiCaprio says the N-word a lot in Django Unchained. It's not okay.
No, but
in 1860s Southern America, that's what was said.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's true facts.
It's playing into the time. I digress. I don't want to like dive down this fucking hole. It was just something I wanted to throw out there.
That's fair.
So let's go around and talk about our thoughts on this movie. For going into our recent watch, because like I said, I saw it when I was a kid. Can't remember much about it other than this cast is stacked as hell. But let's go around and talk about our thoughts on it. We'll start with, I don't remember who started last time, so we're going to start with Angela.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, dear. I say everything except about how Parker's camera keeps going in and out of focus.
Oh,
Let me fix that. You talk and I'll fix it.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I just got excited.
You gonna die over there?
Yeah.
Do I need to do CPR? I know CPR.
One of these days it's gonna happen while I'm recording, and you better leave it in.
Absolutely.
I love this movie. I mean, it's got Frodo in it. It's got the T-1000 in it. It's got Jean Grey in it. Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's not to love about those three? But right. I'm just kidding. Wrong movies. I loved it. We watched this recently for movie night. I was like, we've watched this before, like recently. And Dan's like, yeah. Because 2 people in the movie are credited as fuck you boy and fuck you girl.
Yes.
That's how they're credited. Yeah. They do not have names.
Is that the 2 characters that are fighting all the time?
Yes.
Boyfriend and girlfriend that are fighting.
One of them is River Phoenix.
Yes.
Joaquin and who was the brother from
Summer Phoenix.
Yeah, Summer Phoenix.
But it's
No, it was River Phoenix. River Phoenix and Joaquin's sister, right?
Yeah, sister. Yeah. I was like, I love it. No,
sometimes
that's hilarious. Though.
Sometimes you play the Joker. Sometimes you play one half of a verbally abusive couple, and physically.
It's literally every single time you see this couple, they're just she's just slapping the shit out of him.
Yeah, I know.
And he's just chasing her down, like, "Now come back."
Yeah, I know. Fucking chaos.
Hits him really. I think hits him really good with her backpack one time. I was like, dang. She hit him hard.
I think it's hilarious that they showed them in the credits at the end too. Like they showed their names. I was like, who are these characters?
Yep.
Yeah. But no, like, I mean, it's just the lineup of everybody that was in movies in the 90s.
But a lot of these people weren't even big at this time.
No, they weren't big, but they were in everything in the 90s. Like
I would say not 90s, but like early 2000s is when a lot of these people like really blossomed.
Because, and I hate Josh Hartnett's hair.
Oh, it's terrible.
I want to shave his head.
It's the same hairstyle he has in H2O. Halloween H2O.
Like,
for everyone's like, what's H2O?
Fix his hair.
It's water.
It looks like he has worn a hat and
he cut his hair himself. That's what it looks like. He was drunk one day, cut his hair, and then just said, "This looks fine."
He was on his.
Surprised Jamie Lee Curtis didn't give him shit on the set of H2O. Like, you can't keep that hair down. And she's one of those people who would say something too. And I'm disappointed she didn't. Or he just stood up for himself.
Shave his head.
It's terrible.
But yeah, I can't say any more good stuff about it. I love it. Watch it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I actually didn't see it until we actually watched it recently when we did our movie night together, which was like 6 months to a year ago, somewhere in that range. We watched it, Doesn't feel like that long ago, but it was.
Because I said I had watched it.
Yeah,
before.
because I always remember the advertisements for this on VHS and shit for the faculty.
Yeah.
I just never watched it. I remember coming in, my grandmother and stuff was watching it because, of course, she's like your own, was always like let we watch or was big into that stuff. But I never partook. Excuse me. Of course, the cast, like you said, a lot of these were first. Oh God, I hope that ladybug goes right over the fucking lid.
Just gonna say.
Like, what the fuck? Horror movie. Anyway, only for our video, our viewers, not our listeners.
For anyone watching.
But like apparently this was Usher's first movie. This was Jordana Brewster's film debut. This is only like Josh Hartnett's like second or third movie.
This is second because H2O
yeah.
was his first.
Yeah, so like he was not in, like, all these people like went on to bigger stuff, and of course I never remember how to pronounce her name, but she ended up being Phoenix, and I think
Famke Janssen.
Click on her real quick for me for just a second. I'm pretty sure she's in a movie that I've been begging to cover on this show. Is go down and like around the same year, 98. Yep, she's in Deep Rising and in fucking Rounders.
Oh, Famke?
Yeah, she's in Deep Rising and Rounders.
She's been
the Gingerbread Man. I don't know, from 98. I don't know which one. I don't know.
Wait, is that like the one where is that like the horror movie, the really bad horror movie?
I don't know. She did the Rounders and Deep Rising before this.
Yeah, I believe it.
Damn. No, Gingerbread Man is not.
She doesn't age either.
No, she never. She
was in a really fucking wild movie that I actually own called Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters.
I've heard about that movie.
She was like the villain in that, and she was looking good then. And I mean, that movie's like 10 years old, but I was like, man, this woman doesn't age.
Right? But that being said, like, the effects are a little, dated, of course, but I thought the writing was fun, even though like a lot of the characters just suck. But like they're just mean, hateful people. But they're not like they're like mean, hateful, like 90s mean and hateful, but they're not like Halloween the End, just shitty fucking characters, hateful. It's like the most this has got to be one of the most overdone high schools. I swear, I thought we were watching like a National Lampoon's like Van Wilder or something in the beginning when they took out fucking Frodo's dick on the pole.
Oh my God, I felt that. I mean, it doesn't help. I'm feeling the same pains, but like, golly.
He felt a deep connection at that time.
I did. I was like, ooh, I feel your pain there, Elijah.
This is actually the movie that I believe from what I was reading that Elijah Wood was told that he should audition for Frodo, like while he was doing this movie, or like because they thought somebody's like,
a friend of his who was also working on the film, I think, told him that Peter Jackson was going to be making Lord of the Rings, and was like, oh yeah, you should go audition, and he like didn't want to because he found out that they were just going to be hiring English actors.
Yeah.
So
well, it shows you how that worked out for him.
Yeah.
But no, anyway, but yeah, this seemed like a stepping stone or like an early film for like a lot of people that did a bigger, like you said, in like the into the early 2000s and so on and so forth. But yeah, anyway, that being said, like the characters are great. Robert Patrick is a standout for me. I love him in this movie. He's so good.
Oh my God.
I like Josh Hartnett's character, Frodo. I generally like all the characters, even though a lot of them are just hateful. I'm just gonna call him Frodo because that's the reason. I'm sorry.
He's just calling Frodo.
And one Selma Hayek's in this. Nobody's mentioned her yet, but
because it's disappointing.
I know. And then what was the last? Oh, I need to give a special shout out to Christopher McDonald.
Yes,
because I fucking love Happy Gilmore. And he's fucking Shooter McGavin.
Yes.
Shooter McGavin. And he does the finger gun thing in this.
He doesn't. Robert Patrick does it to him. Yeah.
Yes, dude, it's great.
But
we were quoting it, so it's great.
Me and my wife started watching a show on Netflix called The Watcher, and he's in that, and he's old. He's old.
Yeah.
Well,
but he still sounds like him, and he was like, no, that's every time I see him, every time I think it's just like there's Shooter. Pew pew.
I saw two big fat naked bikers having sex off hole 8. How am I supposed to chip with that going on? Anyway, great late 90s music. We start off with The Kids Aren't All Right by Offspring.
Yep.
Not one of my favorite songs by them, but I love them. They released a better album after that. And Josh Hartnett drives a 70 GTO. I mean, it's fun, and it's just a fun movie. It's a fun fucking movie. It's like what, an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, something like that.
Good. Yeah, it's about an hour 40.
Probably one of the best homages, or you could call it, I guess, a ripoff of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Probably one of my favorites I've seen.
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
They even reference that in the movie. The fact that this is very Body Snatchers, and one of the characters is like, no.
Even the same for, we get references to The Thing in this movie as well. So
yeah.
So go check it out. Definitely worth watching.
This movie's awesome. What a like. I think this is the best $10 I've spent in a very long time getting those two movies, Phantoms and The Faculty. Like, it just, the two movies that surprised me beyond belief. Like, I went into them. I felt like I was gonna like both of them, but like they just they put me over the edge. Like, wow, these are way better than I thought they would be. This does not feel like a Robert Rodriguez movie, though. It's one of those things where I feel like from what I've read, he was kind of just brought in after everything was kind of all set up, and then the Weinsteins.
You good?
Sorry, a little throw up came out of my mouth saying their stupid ass names.
And
they brought him in to kind of right the ship, because I guess so. The original writers for this was David Wechter and Bruce Kimmel, and the Weinsteins brought in Kevin Williamson to do rewrites on the movie and kind of spruce it up to their ways, which you can always pick out probably the things that they probably wanted incorporated into the movie. But Kevin Williamson, great person to bring in to do that, because he wrote Scream 2, Scream 4. He I Know What You Did Last Summer. The Curse, which is another Wes Craven movie from 2005 about werewolves, which I'd love to cover at some point, because it's got my girl Christina Ricci in it. They brought in all of these very fresh faces that going into the 2000s were, blew up. I mean, you got, as we said, like Jordana Brewster, very first film. She would go on to do Fast and the Furious, pretty much blow up in that franchise. She was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning, which some people are very hit and miss on that movie, but I thought it was fun. I thought she was a good final girl in that movie, even though she's not really a final girl, because spoiler, she dies. Clea Duvall, which it's so weird, because Clea Duvall, she's the one who plays Stokely.
Mm-hmm.
So in real life, she is a lesbian. And in this movie, she's pretending to be a lesbian to scare off people, which is like such a weird thing to do to somebody. Like, what?
You got to do something, man.
All right, cool.
Keep your defenses up.
Josh Hartnett is only his second movie right after Halloween H2O, which, I feel that movie kind of put him on the map. He would later go on to do all sorts of things. He was in Pearl Harbor. He was in, was it 40 Days and Nights? The movie about vampires. It was up in Alaska.
Yes. Yeah, 40, I remember that
one. He was in The Black Dahlia. He's been in a lot of stuff. Sin City.
Watch that? We watched The Black Dahlia, didn't we? Yeah, okay. It's been
he would come back to work with Robert Rodriguez in Sin City along with Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
And, everybody knows who Elijah Wood. I mean, Elijah Wood, he actually was a pretty established actor even by this time. He had already done so much. Was the movie with Macaulay Culkin, was The First Son? That was a pretty creepy ass movie. The one where
was it The Good Son?
The Good Son. Yeah.
I remember that advertising. A lot of people got pissed about when that movie started.
But a movie I watched a fuck ton as a kid that had Elijah Wood and had Dundee.
Oh,
Flipper, baby.
Flipper.
He was also in Back to the Future Part 2.
I see. He was the video game.
That was his very first movie, I believe. Was that small scene in Back to the Future Part 2? Or was it Part 2 or Part 2 is when they go to 2015.
She has it right here in front of us, yeah.
Femke Jensen, as Angela said, would go on to do a lot. I mean, Dan, you even said some of the movies that she had done before this. Deep Rising, and what was the other one?
Oh, fuck. Rounders.
Rounders, which are good. Another podcast, Nostalgia Cast, just covered Rounders not too long ago. So go check out our good friend Darren and his podcast, the Nostalgia Cast. They just covered Rounders.
A Deep Impact.
Piper Laurie.
Yeah.
I saw that name. I was like, who is that? But she was in Carrie. I was like, okay.
Oh, God, I read that wrong.
She was in Frasier. She was the one who plays the principal, but I remember her from Jumanji. That was like, when I saw her, I was like, oh, yeah, it's the aunt from Jumanji, the one who like deals with the stampede. I fucking love Jumanji. I can't wait to talk about that fucking movie. Robert Patrick. God damn, he's so good. So good.
He is great in this movie.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, come on. Robert Patrick, we all know him as the T-1000 from Terminator 2. We've talked about him on the show very highly because he is just that good.
There's a Terminator connection.
Yeah, it really
I said
is.
it more than once.
Yeah.
I've said it more than once, but yeah.
Usher Raymond, or AKA just Usher. This was his first movie. And to be honest, was he in other movies?
He was
at least other movies. Other movies I remember.
There's a few other ones he's been in, I'm pretty sure. Not just the faculty. She's pulling it.
So let's say low, damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, he was in Muppets Most Wanted. There it is.
Yes, there it is, guys.
Yeah, she's all that.
But I thought Miramax only made quality films like The Piano or The Crying Game. Well, after they made She's All That, it was all downhill from there. Another Jay and Silent Bob. Anyways.
Why did I know? That was in my head. I was like, is that a Jay and Silent Bob reference?
Yeah, it totally was.
I love that this man was in this movie. Jon Stewart. I watched The Daily Show religiously for years because Jon Stewart is he's just so great. And I forgot he was in movies. I really forgot that he did some pretty established movies.
Was this right around the time he started The Daily Show, or was this before The Daily Show? I think it
was a little bit before. I think he might have started in 98 or 99, to be honest. It could have been like right before it. Let's see. The Daily Show. Yeah, it was 98. But great.
For you.
Funny thing is his character's name is Mr. Furlong, and he teaches, I'm guessing this is biology class. And my biology teacher in high school was named Mr. Furlong, which is pretty funny. Weird. I know, right? The music by Marco Beltrami. We've actually talked about him once before, and not for movies that you probably thought we would when you would hear his name, which is usually Scream or Resident Evil or A Quiet Place. We talked about him when we covered Terminator 3.
Oh.
So another Terminator reference here. Another Terminator connection. All just coming together, baby. But he's done way better movies than that. But yeah, he did the score for this because, of course, anything Kevin Williamson is attached to, usually Marco Beltrami follows him around, which is great. So this movie came out on Christmas Day in 1998, which is it's such a weird release date for a movie like this.
It's so fucking odd.
A $15 million budget, $63.2 million at the box office. Not too shabby. Not too
especially
shabby.
In the late 90s. Yeah.
If you're doubling what you put into the movie, it's a success. That's what I just found out. I looked it up. If you can't make double if you can't make double of what your budget is, you're considered a flop. I don't know. I guess considering all of marketing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Gotta have that little cushion. Do we want to talk about the fucking cover for this movie? How it literally just mirrors. We're going to talk about it because we talked about it with Phantoms. Hey guys, let's just take generic photos of these actors and just plaster them in this stupid ass.
Yeah, the other theatrical poster one is literally the same shit. It looks like they just took stills from the movie.
Why is Usher on the cover? He's in the movie for 2 minutes.
He's literally barely in the movie, like legit.
He was a recording artist by this time.
If I remember correctly in the trailers for this, it did. I read this little tagline here that says, it's got Schools Out Forever. I'm pretty sure they did play Schools Out by whatever it is, Alice Cooper. There.
And then
I'm pretty sure in the trailer The trailers, not in the movie.
Did you like
Pretty
the
sure-
version of Another Brick in the Wall that was done in this
It was
movie?
alright. I'm
That
not
was
a big
pretty
fan of
good.
the original, but it was fine.
Oh, I love it. Actually, I like Corrin's version the best, but
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Like, I don't nut hard over it. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, fuck.
just oh
Pink Floyd.
my god. So Angela, you did say that there was so Summer Phoenix played her character's name was Fuck You Girl, and then
Yeah.
John Abrahams, whoever the hell that is, played Fuck You
Let's see what
Boy.
he's in. Come on,
Yeah.
John Abrahams.
But so there was two characters who had very
Oh,
similar
fuck.
names to this, and one of them was, oh god, tell me.
Go up. No. I just want to make sure. Okay, go ahead. You say the first one.
He's in Scary Movie.
And he's in the 2005 House of Wax.
Yeah, that one.
Listen, I really want to rewatch this movie because so many people that talk about House of Wax from 2005 today seem to like it.
Really? I've always heard the opposite. It was
It's the
shit.
same, dude. It still blows my mind that people today, like how many people today, when you talk about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, people love that movie. And listen, I have watched it recently, and it is a good movie. I think it's a good movie.
It is a good movie.
If you just ignore the fact that it has nothing to do with Michael Myers, which is fine because that was the intention. But the fact is that back when I was a kid, I remember going to the movie to like Hollywood Video, which was I don't think we had a Blockbuster in my town. It was Hollywood Video, which is the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
We go in there and I was obsessed with watching all of the Halloween movies, but I was like, Michael Myers. I wanted Michael Myers. So like when you go to rent and you saw Halloween 3, I remember renting it, going, just like probably everyone did when they were a kid or when they rented it for the first time, expecting one thing and getting another. And they were like, well, that was awful. But it's crazy now to just see the amount of people who are just in love with Halloween 3, who put Halloween 3 in like their top 3 all-time Halloween movies. And it's just wild because when I was a kid, that wasn't even remotely the case. There was so much hate for that movie.
Well, I mean, that's fair. I mean, I think it's a valid thing to bring up because even for me, like I'd always heard that growing up. Like I didn't really watch the Halloween movies. Like they didn't interest me. I was Friday the 13th guy. So like when it came to watching those, I remember people saying like, I had one guy tell me, you used to watch Halloween 3. Nobody likes it because I'd always heard this because it doesn't have Michael Myers, but it's actually a good movie. And I remember it was on AMC during their horror fest when they had all the horror movies on. And I remembered what time it was going to be. I looked ahead. They were showing, I adamantly went out of my way to watch that movie. Spent a long time, watched that movie just to see what all the hubbub was at. I liked it. I thought it was an enjoyable movie, but I had no precedence. But that's why I used to hate Friday the 13th Part 5. But I actually like it now, even though it's not Jason. But I like it now because I like the characters in the movie.
Right. You can go back as an adult. Yeah, you go back as an adult. You watch those movies with a different lens.
Yeah.
As they say. Yeah. But I just
or you could just, pull your head out of your ass, whatever analogy you want to use. But
there you go.
Both work.
Your eyeballs just don't work as well now. So it doesn't matter.
That's true. It's true. You're older, you're senile, you don't understand.
Oh man. Are you guys ready to talk about this plot?
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
All right, let's do this. So this movie opens up to a screaming Robert Patrick. He's just screaming.
Oh, he's so fucking
he is
livid,
the
dude.
angriest football coach I've ever seen in a movie or in real life.
Oh,
this man is fucking just raging on these high school kids to the point where, like, I swear, like, if that was today, if this coach was doing this today, high school, like, half the team would quit.
No, absolutely.
He'd get fired.
Or he'd get fired, most likely. But Jesus, he's calling them pussies. He's like, he's just going, he's like, you fucking suck. You all fucking suck. Fuck you. I was like, wow.
Yeah, he's like,
holy shit.
I just love it when he walks over and he flips the whole table. I'm like, damn, he's strong. He just flips the whole table.
Not the coolers.
He goes so extra, and it's so great. So, of course, he does that, and he's kind of like down on one knee. I don't know if he's tying his shoe or something, and somebody walks up that you can't see. He's like, well, can I help you? And then it just goes to black.
Yeah.
Like, oh. So there has to be no budget at the school because and it's great that the faculty all meets up in the faculty like break room, and they're talking about like who's gonna get what, and like no one's getting anything, and they're like, yeah, because you're gonna give it all to the football team. She's like, yeah, because on Fridays, do you see the football stands? Do you see the stands at the game? They're full.
Yeah,
That means this town is a football town there, Jim. Actually, I don't remember what the character's name was, but that guy, what the hell was that guy's name? Who is that guy?
The history teacher or whatever.
What was his name? Stan?
Is it?
No.
Yeah,
Stan was one of the
John Tate.
Yeah, Daniel Von Bargen is the actor's name. He was in Super Troopers. He was Chief Brady. Damn.
Yeah,
I knew I recognized him. Oh, he was Mr.
like,
Kruger. He was Mr. Kruger in Seinfeld too.
Yeah, he is
He's
good at
so
playing like
good.
a cynical dickhead, but like also that same dude that just does not give a fuck.
He's great.
Like it's so awesome.
He was in Silence of the Lambs. Oh, he was one of the cops when Hannibal escapes. Oh man. Yeah, he's always great at playing an asshole. But yeah, and I just love the fact that the principal is just like, yeah, we're a football town. So yeah, we're going to give all the money. We're going to give them the new jock straps, the new chin guards, the new helmets, the new jerseys. And then they're all just like, fuck this place. And so all the teachers just hate their lives. They hate their jobs. I don't know how they're even getting paid. Are they even getting paid? They're getting paid like $5 and a fucking bag of Skittles. Like
there's like a thing on there that says they're not supposed to turn the fucking air conditioning on.
It's
awful.
This is the worst fucking school ever.
School sucks.
Except for the old lady teacher.
Which was the really old one?
The really old one. She's just like, I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
she wasn't even paying attention.
And they're all assholes to each other.
Except
all of them.
She was told that they couldn't get computers or whatever, and she's just like, oh, okay. And then she just goes back to doing what she's doing.
Oh, the drama teacher. She's so nice. She's like, oh, the kids really want to do a different play this year because we keep doing the same one every year.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we don't have the budget for that. Oh. And then of course, like they're leaving the school and the drama teacher asks one more time about doing a certain play. And they're like, well, if you can take the same set that you used in last year's and just repurpose it, then sure, why not? And she's like, oh, darn, I left my keys inside. What's going to happen? So she goes back inside. She goes back to her office, and that's when she runs into the coach. And he's acting really weird, telling her she's really pretty and just being creepy. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna go. Just just get away from me, please. And he just
keeps if he's drunk or whatever again.
Yeah. And he then he asks for a pencil, and she gives him the pencil, and then he just shoves the pencil through her hand. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. He's like, I always wanted to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, because he takes her hand, turns it over, and just like, it made me hurt.
Yeah. It was
right through the middle.
Yeah, you see it. It's wonderful.
Yep.
Right through the meaty bits.
Yep.
Yeah. So she fights with him. She runs through the school. And you get the scene where she sees the drama teacher outside the door. She runs. She's like, you gotta help me, get out of here. And then you get
my key.
Yeah. So she's got to go back to her office, get her keys, go back to the door. And that's when the coach is down at the end of the hall. And this is when you get your kind of another Terminator reference of him doing kind of the Terminator run at her. And of course she gets out right in the nick of time, which is like perfect. And you think everything is going to be okay. Like she's like, yeah, I beat you, fuck you type deal. And the fucking drama teacher just starts stabbing her with a pair of scissors.
Yep.
And then she goes, I've always wanted to do that.
Yep.
You're like, what the fuck? But here's my question, all right? And spoiler, we always spoil movies in this show, so don't really need to do a spoiler warning. So do these creatures like fully heal the bodies that their the hosts? Because like they're being stabbed. Like she gets stabbed a lot by these pair of scissors. And then like you see her again later and she seems perfectly fine. Like her body is back to normal.
There must be something like that because there's another thing that happens later in the movie too that would very much have to explain that.
But
Right.
Robert Patrick's character, you know, she gets him on the cheek,
Right.
and the next day, and on the head, and the next day, it's still
Like
there.
scarred.
It's still visible. Yeah, it's
Right, right, right.
scarred.
Yeah, that would be a really fast healing. So yeah, because the next day,
But
because you'd have scabs if it was like a normal person. If you got cut up or whatever or bleeding like that, you'd have scabs. You wouldn't just be healed the next day. I don't heal that fast. I don't know.
well, true, but she gets stabbed a lot.
But she doesn't show up till a good deal after that.
That's true. She probably has healed by then. But
Yeah.
you also don't see her hand or anything.
It's true.
And she probably doesn't fully die because I think they need some kind of living host.
Right.
to
Yeah.
really-
Or a host that can actually like, because like we see later with the older teacher, like they tried to get into her body, but it like it like decays too fast because she's got cancer and all that. So yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah, we'll get to that scene. So good morning from this shitty high school where there's shitty students and shitty teachers. There's literally Elijah Wood gets carried by 4 guys and gets his ball smashed off a fucking flagpole 4 times. Yeah, he ain't having children.
He ruptured a nut.
He did something.
We did.
They popped my gushers.
Oh God, the pain.
Hey, that is topical. Gushers were a more relevant item in the late 90s
gushers.
than they are now.
If I didn't have gushers in my lunch when I was in elementary school, I was mad. I was
like,
so
where's
mad. Where's my gushers, Mom?
Mom, you bitch! Where's my gushers?
Wow.
Oh my God. So you also meet the shitty I can't remember, what was her name? Delilah, played by Jordana Brewster. She sucks. She treats her boyfriend like shit. The only reason she's with her boyfriend is because he's the starting quarterback for the football team.
And she's the head cheerleader.
Yep. And we meet Josh Hartnett, who's pretty much just the school drug dealer.
Yeah.
And he meets up with a rapist and his friend. Danny Masterson's a rapist.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay,
in real life.
Okay, that would explain why.
Well,
he's not
and there as fuck up 1.
Yep.
And fuck up 2.
And fuck up 2.
Yeah. So
like,
okay,
they don't need names. It's okay.
Yeah,
that works for me.
So yeah, they meet up with him to get some drugs, and then they go into the bathroom and do that. While that's happening, Elijah Wood's nursing himself back to health as he's in rough fucking shape, man.
I do actually like this whole beginning sequence where it's like all this stuff's going. It's just jumping between characters, like in this whole little thing, like just bouncing around to them, seeing what's going on with them in this whole opening.
Did you like the title cards for everybody?
Just kind of showing who they were.
Like, all right, cool. I'm gonna forget your names as I did
absolutely.
in most of my notes.
Yep.
I am the worst when it comes to doing notes for movies. I am the worst with names. I won't figure out somebody's name until like halfway through, unless somebody's name gets repeated a lot.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So we go back to the teacher's lounge, the faculty lounge. We should call it that since that's the title of this movie. All the teachers are fun as hell, man. You got Jon Stewart's Edward Furlong. I guess that was his name. Another Terminator reference, since that was the actor who played John Connor in Terminator 2.
Yep.
He is the biology teacher. He is talking with Selma Hayek's character, who is the nurse.
Yes.
And she is not feeling well. And I love the fact where it's like, well, why don't you just go home? She's like, because I'm saving up all my time for when I'm not sick. And I'm like, yeah. You show them, fuckers.
Yep. That's how you do it.
And then that's when he says the line of like, well, I might as well just put a pencil in my eye, which is like, oh, foreshadowing. Ooh. Oh man, we got Mr. Tate, who is, I think, is he the English teacher?
Is either the English or the history teacher? Because he talks about family lineages.
I think English was Femke Jensen's character.
Yeah, I think so. Well, yeah, maybe.
Miss Burke. He's just miserable, just drinking on the job. He's got his flask that he hides in the lounge, but he's also pretty much pouring it in his coffee and drinking it while he's teaching classes. But I agree. Like I would be the same way. Like fuck this school, fuck this district,
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
whatever he's got to do to get through the day.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I had to make a note about Josh Hartnett's hair in this movie because it looks terrible.
She's always complained about that. Always.
It's
Every time
terrible.
I'm like,
It's
cut
awful.
the damn hair.
It's funny. His hair on the cover of the movie looks way better.
Probably gonna really bitch about his hair looks fucking terrible. Why'd you film this movie? Like, change the poster, damn it.
It's terrible. So all the teachers are fun, as I said earlier. The coach walks in though, and he just starts drinking a lot of water. He's continuing and Mr. Furlong's just like, oh, coach seems thirsty today.
What is it, like a pregame ritual or something?
Yeah. And then that's when the other teacher, Mrs. Olson, the drama teacher, she comes in. She's looking different though. She's got the straightened hair. She's looking better than she did the day before. Yeah. And that's when you get the weird thing where coach turns around and is like, oh, Mrs. Olson, you're looking pretty today. And you're like, well, that's weird to say.
Yeah, exactly. And like, no, like she's looking all like proper and stuff. Like she actually gives a shit. It's pretty cool.
So Stan, the football player, the quarterback, his girlfriend continues to suck. She just literally, anytime he tries to show affection towards her, she just pretty much is like, ew. I like the first time he tries to give her a kiss, he's like, this was, what is it, like $200 like L'Oreal or Estee Lauder or some shit that took me 2 hours to apply. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. I was like, that's a lie because I can apply lipstick in like 5 seconds.
I don't think it was 2 hours. I think it was like 20 minutes, but it was still the fact of like, what?
It was a long time.
Holy shit.
Like really?
And you got the new girl who goes up to there's two girls sitting like against the stairs. One of them is Robert Rodriguez's sister, the one with the piercing.
Maybe.
And,
Mary Beth. Beth Louise Hutchinson.
Yeah, she asks about like where what did she say? Like how to get to the counselor's office? She's looking to get somewhere. She asks a couple people. They don't even answer. They're like, okay, thanks. I really like what you did with the piercing. You really look great.
No, yeah, like, and she always introduces herself with her full name.
Yep.
Every time she says it.
She also meets I called her Goth
Stokely.
Girl until I figured as Stokely. Yeah. Again, like I said, people, in my notes, no one has a name, but just a description of who they are until I hear their name multiple times in the movie, and then I remember their names. So don't yell at me for this shit. You know how this goes. We're only 78 episodes into this.
Not going to change, guys.
Even though everybody's name was in the...
Do you think I remembered that?
Fuck no, I don't remember it either.
At the time, I was probably behind writing a note from something that happened 5 minutes before, and then I looked up and was like, "Oh."
I just know them by their class in the film, like their distinction, like this is their role, the archetype.
I just remember Casey because he's always getting the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah,
fuck that guy. I'm just kidding. Good.
So Casey finds something on the football field. Oh, but before when Mary Beth meets Stokely, they're having a chat, and that's when Delilah comes up and she's just continues to suck. She tells Mary Beth about how Stokely's a lesbian. I was like, okay. Whoa.
Scary.
I don't know. Was I supposed to react or something? I don't know what's happening.
Small town. That's terrifying.
Oh. It clearly doesn't seem to bother Mary Beth either. Even though the way that they kind of portray her is like that, like innocent Southern girl, like the one who's like, oh, I don't know about that. Like, I was raised a Christian.
Yeah.
Not saying that's what all Southern people are like, but it's most of them. Angela can attest.
Stereotyping. Just kidding.
Angela, come
around
on,
here. That's how it is. Around here, that's how it is. We know.
I've driven through North Carolina.
You should see what it's like. You should see what it's like.
There's so many churches.
Oh my god!
You have no idea.
They will stick a church in any fucking building they can find. I swear to
like
God.
Like a 7-Eleven with a church attached. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah, they will. Dude, they have them in trailers.
The pastor's going to do his sermon on Sunday, and then he's going to serve some hot dogs off of that machine that makes them spin.
We got it on the rollers.
I just pissed off everybody who watches us from the South.
Well,
so Casey brings Casey finds something on the football field, and he gets questioned by the coach really fucking hardcore.
Oh yeah, he does. What the fuck are you doing here?
He's very like he's not yelling at him, but he's just like
stern.
super scary, man. He's like
very imposing.
He's like, you should play football. You're pretty fast. He's like, yeah, the only time I like to run is when I'm running away from something. And that's when he kind of like gets you a little bit more intimidating. You're like, oh my God, I'd be scared. I'm not even in the same room as this man. Casey brings the thing to Mr. Furlong, and they study it, and it looks like a new species. Angela's holding back something.
No, it's just what he said.
Oh, you only do laughing because you know it's true. Just kidding.
Jesus.
Hey, you're from the same area as you're from technically around the same area. Not to change the subject. So where Mary Beth's from? She's from Atlanta.
Yeah.
She's from south of Atlanta. So there you go. Random connection.
Just gonna cut that other part. I'm gonna cut that part and leave all the times I'm just saying I cut that part, and everybody's like, "What part did he cut?"
People will ask about it. I'm like, I don't. And then, but by the time, if somebody's like, "Dude, what did you guys cut?" I'm like, I don't remember. It's just gonna be lost to time.
Oh, people are gonna be so confused.
We talk about these movies, and I make a mental note, like, oh, when you make the tweet, I'm gonna write something quirky about what we talked about. Nope. I can't even remember what we talked about. Like, shit.
Oh man. So the new species.
The wonders of the show.
So they find out that it's a new species, or what they think might be a new species, but they're going to send it to the university because that's what you always do when you can't figure shit out. Send it to the university.
Yeah.
And they find out it can replicate itself. It looks like a little slug, and it's swimming around the tank, and then it splits off into two, and Mr. Furlong just sticking his hand in there like, "Hey there, little buddy."
Yeah.
Like, what are you
doing?
doing?
How would you put your hand in there?
Dude, literally, this thing hits the water. It's revived by water and then sprouts all these tendrils. The last thing I'm going to be doing is just jamming my hand in that tank. I'm sorry,
little buddy.
Dude.
Let me pet you. Like, get your hand out of there, weirdo. And it bites him. Idiot. And you find out that Zeke is very, very smart. But yet he stayed back. This is his second senior year. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Gotta have a hustle.
So Stan wants to quit the football team. And he talks to the coach about it during, I guess, swim class. I don't fucking know what the hell is happening here. And the coach seems fairly cool about it. He's like, yeah, at first he's a dick about it. He's like, oh, it seems pretty ironic that my star quarterback wants to quit the day before playing the one team that can kick our ass. He's just like, oh, and he's like, but I'm not going to stand in front of anybody who wants to make a life change. He's like, I'm so confused. I thought you were going to kill me.
He's like, I thought you were going to ream me, coach. Now, what kind of human being would do that? What kind of human being would I be if I did that? And I was like, ha ha.
You see Usher for the first. Well, actually, I think this is like the second time you see Usher, but the first time wasn't really relevant enough.
Mm-hmm.
So you see him in the locker room with another guy who's giving Casey shit, and then Stan stands up. stands up for him. And he's gonna. And then you get the line where he's just like, "Why do you take that shit?" And I was like, "Wait, what? What is he talking about?
Why do I take a shit? I have to. I mean,
I was like, if you got it in there, you got to push it out." So he goes. So Stan
everybody
goes
poops but you.
Yeah. Yes. So Stan goes to take a shower in the prison shower. I mean, a high school shower room. What the fuck? My high school did not have a shower room like that. Holy shit. It was huge. Like, this school did not look like it had more than 400 kids in there. That shower room it was like 100 showers.
That's why the football team gets all the money.
Yeah.
It had to be. Because our locker rooms there, we had proper locker rooms, but I mean, there were a few like shower stalls, but it wasn't nothing like that.
Free.
So Stan takes a shower, and
without the soap, without the rope. Go ahead.
Yeah. And who should wander in but Mrs. Brummel, naked Mrs. Brummel, old naked Mrs. Brummel, and she is not looking so good. She, is asking for help, and then it just gets weird because Stan kind of embraces her, and as he embraces her, her fucking side of her head starts to peel off. Oh,
It's
what?
already weird before then because she comes in and she starts stripping her clothes off.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Whoa."
You're like, whoa, what is
He's like,
happening?
dude.
Like old lady naked bodies. We don't want.
Stan's just sitting there thinking to himself, God, why does this turn me on?
You're gonna kill him.
Lord.
Don't make me laugh. I'm gonna split an incision. I'm sorry, Parker. I'm so sorry. That was horrible. You can cut that out, please.
So no, it's fine.
No, he's like, no, I'm leaving that one in.
So Casey goes in and he calls for help.
Which at least he was smart to do that. He's like, go get help. Like,
yeah. It wasn't just like, I'm just going to leave her here. For one, you got to get dressed. It's not like you're going to be able to run to the teacher butt ass naked. Like, hey,
Yep.
that old lady teacher, Mrs. Brummel, she's naked. Like, her skin's peeling off. Why are you naked, Stan?
Is this normal? This is normal, right?
Oh, Mrs. Olsen talks to Stan and Casey because she tells them about how that Mrs. Brummel had cancer or has cancer and she wasn't doing well and they thought that she was going to be able to make it to the end of the year, but it's probably not going to happen and they can't say anything to anybody. Like they got to kind of keep it to themselves. And as all this is happening, Casey's sitting on the bench, like looking outside in his camera, and the coach is just standing in the middle of the field, in the middle of the sprinklers, just getting soaked. You're like, what the fuck?
Must be some kind of pregame ritual. I wish everybody just said that every time the coach does something weird. Like, this is a pregame ritual.
Fine.
Casey and Delilah investigate the faculty lounge. This is where you kind of see a little bit better. Like, Delilah is not the shittiest person, but she's still shitty. But I love that Casey stands up. He stands up to her and pretty much calls her like, hey, you could be a nice person if you weren't an absolute fucking bitch.
And she's like, are you hitting on me? Like, oh, fucking God.
Oh, my God. Please.
Like, just hit her in the head with a board, please.
They hear teachers coming into the room, so they hide in the closet. And the coach and the drama teacher, Mrs. Olsen, come in. They are drinking a lot of water at the water cooler, talking about stuff, about like people getting acclimated to things. And that's when Selma Hayek comes in and they attack her. They implant the slug into her and do a bunch of shit. And that's
into her ear hole.
Into her ear, yeah. Fucking weird. And that's when Casey and Delilah in the closet, they knock into the back of the closet and freaking Mrs. Brummel's body just falls on them. So they run out and guess who's back but Mrs. Drake, the principal. She's looking better than ever. Like she actually looks good. I was like, damn. And they try to tell her everything and she's kind of, that she's possessed by whatever this is. So she's acting funny. And so they call the cops and they also call the Casey's parents. Well, actually they call Delilah's parents, but I guess they couldn't get a hold of her or they couldn't find her or something. So who should be Casey's parents put Christopher McDonald as his dad? And I don't know who the mom was. I didn't look her up. Libby Valari. But it's okay. Christopher McDonald steals every scene that he's in anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they, are trying to prove what they saw is real, but it ends up being, well, of course they fucked with everything. So it turns out to be the CPR doll.
Yeah.
And Mr. Connor is pissed. So they get home after all this is over. And they take like everything from him, even his porn. Yeah. How dare you
take his porn?
Like, the dad was so excited to take his porn.
What was the thing he says? doing something to the bishop. The masturbation analogy.
It's like no more rubbing the bishop or something like that.
Yeah, some shit like that. And I was like, I know that's a new one on me.
But they don't take his computer away, so he's still able to go on his computer and do whatever he needs to do.
Well, it looks like they grabbed something like, no more internet for you, but I think they just grabbed a random thing because they don't know.
Yeah.
It's like the typical parents from that era don't know anything about the internet kind of thing. So.
Right. So Casey clearly has never tried to sneak out of his house before because he fails epically. He falls off his roof, and then he thinks he sees a bunch of the faculty coming to attack him, but it turns out to be nothing. And the dad's just like, get the fuck back in the house. What are you doing?
He's still carrying one of the magazines.
Yep.
Oh, man. The next day is a very weird day at school. The teachers are all being weird. The students are being called to the office a lot. Like every few minutes, there's new kids being called down to the office. Then you see a bunch of students that are acting very weird. And this is where you see the fuck you girl and the fuck you boy, but the fuck you boy is acting weird. He's kind of just sitting there taking everything as the girl's just like, you son of a bitch.
He's like, say something, you fucking pussy. And he's just like,
slapping the shit out of him. He's just like, and he just looks over at Zeke, and who was Zeke with? Oh, he was with
the teacher, right? Was it? No, was it Mary Beth? Or was it the teacher?
No, I was with Mary Beth because that's when Zeke runs into Mrs. Burke. We did mention that earlier. Mrs. Burke or Miss Burke finds or goes to Zeke's car when he's selling drugs out of the back of his car, and she's like, you can't be doing stuff like this on school grounds, and he's like, well, technically I'm sitting in my car. And then he tries to sell her chocolate laxatives or ultra magnum condoms.
Yes.
Cherry flavor.
Yeah.
And she's like super shy and, and all that.
Reserved and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But now she looking hot, and she is just fucking drilling into him, pretty much calling him a useless piece of shit. Like, you're a smart dude, but you fucking suck. And where are your parents at, huh? Your parents never home yet because your parents don't love you. Like, all that type of shit. And she's just fucking, she is punching him in the face without actually punching him in the face.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that whole scene, though, where Zeke's walking through the courtyard, though, because he's just like realizing, like, something's fucking going on here.
Yeah.
But it's before he even sees, fuck you, boy and girl, they're like arguing or whatever. But like, he just seems like something seems really off.
Well, you got the students lining up at the water fountain. Like, weirdly, just kind of chilling there, and you're like, what the hell's going on here? So you got Mary Beth is hanging out with Zeke. You had Stokely hanging out with Casey. You find out that Stokely has a crush on Stan, so she's not really a lesbian. She's just pretending to kind of keep people away from her because, being a lesbian is terrible in 1998. Stokely and Casey talk about what's happening, and that is very reminiscent to Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and that's when Stokely's like, no, it's not. It's not like that at all.
Yeah.
You get another meetup with Delilah and Stan to talk about what's happening. You notice that Delilah's got glasses now, which is kind of like one of those.
And her hair back.
Yeah, her hair is different. She's just saying that she's kind of incognito. It's like, no, you still look the same. But I usually wear contacts. But then you realize, that should have been a first indication that she's not who she seems. And they pretty much determine, like, aliens are taking over the school. That's kind of like what they all just determine, except for Stan, who's just like, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
I'll humor you guys.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
You don't know what's going on.
And in the other room, you find out that Zeke steals shit from the science department to make his drugs. And then him and Mary Beth make out, which raises some questions at the end of the movie. Mr. Furlong shows up to his class, and everyone's like, okay, what's going on? Oh, just wondering where the hell the freaking thing is that we brought in. Where's the alien? Where's the creature thing? And he's like, oh, well, I sent it up to the university. And that's when they kind of throw out there the fact of like, oh, we think that aliens are taking over the school. And he's just like, well, that's crazy. And then locks the door. unsuspiciously, and then attacks them all. And he takes them all on. He's just throwing everyone around until Zeke finally stabs him in the eye, ironically.
Well, first he rips that paper cutter. He takes the blade off of the old school paper.
Cuts his fingers off.
Yeah.
And then they grow each finger grows the little tendrils and then that's when he stabs him in the eye with the drugs. And he freaks out, and then you find out, so the drugs cause this is what their weakness is whatever is in the drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole school is pretty much compromised. So they all leave. I love when the football team tries to attack Zeke's car. Run by Usher, because Usher's now the head honcho. Now that Stan quit the team.
Yeah.
So they go to Zeke's house where he has a whole drug lab. His parents are okay because they're never around.
Yeah.
All right. See, and today, unless he was 18, which I'm guessing he was, because he was a second-year senior, so he had to have been 18, right? So it's okay to leave him home alone for long periods of time.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
So they study the slug on a mouse. They realize that. How the fuck does he kill this mouse by just sticking his finger in the cage? Just
yeah, it looks like he just takes 2 fingers and yeah, sure.
What's that bitch?
That mouse is dead now.
Sorry, Mr. Squeakums.
But you find out that the slug, it dries out its host. So that's why they constantly need to have water.
It increases the body temperature too.
Yes.
That's also another reason to drink.
So they pretty much determine that it constantly needs to be moist or have water. So they determine that there's got to be that all of these. So all of the faculty is compromised. Then you got the students as well, but there always has to be a queen. So they determine that there's got to be a queen. But it's one of those, we also get that the Thing kind of throwback where everybody doesn't know who, one of us could be be the slug or whatever. And so they have to do the experiment where, the drug it killed Mr. Furlong. So everyone's going to have to snort some drugs to determine who it is. Everyone does it. Mary Beth fights it because she says she's allergic.
She's allergic to aspirin or something like that, or something like that. It would kill her.
You get the whole thing where I love the fact that they're taking these drugs and they're also being affected by them as well. So Casey takes it, Stan takes it, they're laughing their asses off because they've never done shit like this before. And Zeke tries to get out of it because he's like, I never test my own product, or I never, use my own product. But he ends up taking it. Yeah.
You don't use the shit you're trying to sell. It's big brain.
Yeah. And then, so you get the whole thing between Mary Beth and Delilah, where they're the last two. And Delilah, you find out Delilah is the one who is the alien, which if you think about it, when she's wearing her glasses, she wears contacts. Well, the contacts would dry out your eyes, which would affect the aliens. So that's why it's kind of, if you've already known the whole thing and then you go into it again, you'd kind of pick up on that pretty early.
Well, and also I'm pretty sure at this point, sometime in this, Zeke explains what it is. It's caffeine pills and household chemicals, but of course caffeine's a diuretic, which dries you out.
Right. Yep.
So that's why it takes people out.
I love that it's alert that its weakness is caffeine.
Have some coffee.
To be honest, everybody's
Coffee
weakness is caffeine. Everybody's weakness is caffeine.
Has to be. Doesn't it?
I drink coffee every day. Does it really help me? Not really. It just tastes
Currently
good.
drinking coffee.
It just kills me. Maybe I'm an alien parasite.
Could be.
I just can't do it.
So with Delilah becoming the alien, she was the alien the whole time. She destroys the lab, meaning it only leaves a little bit of drugs left for whatever way they're going to have to try to figure out to stop the queen or stop, the spread. So they take what's left of the drugs. They go back to the school. There's a big football game going on. So this was actually filmed at an actual Texas high school. And there was an actual football game going on at the time, and they actually paid people in the stands who were watching the game to wear certain apparel. So it matched the school. This scene makes me laugh though. I was watching the scene laughing. Like the fact that like Usher's character tackles a guy and just pins him to the ground. No one sees this happening of him just like puking a fucking slug into this dude's like.
Like at least some of the shots at least like they seem like they tried because they just pile everybody on top of them.
It's so funny,
right? It's ridiculous, especially like the amazing fucking clothesline on that one dude. Just what boom.
Yeah.
I was like, I've never seen that ever. I've seen multiple movies, like football movies, where they have dude clotheslines another dude. It's like, well, that never happens in football ever.
No.
But it's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so the football team is worming the opposing football team, and you get the shot of Robert Patrick standing on the sideline with a big ass smile on his face.
Oh yeah. He's elated.
He loves it.
This is when you get the rendition of Another Brick in the Wall, which actually I like this version. So they all come to the determination that the principal is the queen. So they need to find where Mrs. Drake is and kind of draw her into the gym and pretty much kill her. And she shows up and she's questioning everything. And then she gets a net thrown on her. And then Zeke ends up shooting her. Or no, do they stab? Do they? No, they don't stab her with the drugs yet. They fucking Mary Beth has the big bag of it, and she just fucking throws it on her, and she's just like, I love the effect though of like the body just kind of dissolving.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn, why are you using so many drugs? But then later on in the movie, you're like, oh, well, that's why she did that. Because she uses literally all of it.
The rest of what they have left.
Yeah. Except for a couple pens. The coach and the team, they're soaking up all that rain. You get the scene where the coach, like all the tendrils are coming out of like the coach's face and everything as they're like absorbing the rain as it comes down. Because Stan goes out there to see, because they got the principal, so they're like, oh well, it should be over. So Stan goes out there to see if everybody is good, and no, they're not. You also get the kiss between Stan and Stokely, and you're like, oh, that's a cute couple. And after all that, he comes back and wants to come back in. It's like, nope.
Not until you do the test.
Yep. And then he doesn't. He ends up pouring it out, and you're like, well, no shit. And so they don't have anything left, but Zeke's like, well, I might have some back in my car. We'll go back to my car. We'll go see what I'll go see if there's anything left. So him and Casey go out there. They're kind of like the football team's kind of just walking around. It's like a video game. It's like a level of a video game where it's like, all right, avoid the football team and get to the car. Get the drugs and get back to the school.
The football person looked around. What was that noise? Oh, it was just the wind.
They could have made a video game on this movie. Like this would have been a great setting for a video game.
Yep.
So
they would have fucked it up.
Probably. So yeah, they go out there and Zeke actually tells Casey that he's kind of a distraction. So he has to distract the football team. And then he ends up running into Delilah on the bus. And the fact that he is able to jump through the roof so fast to avoid her and the football players that are on the bus now it blows my mind. Well, he does it. Zeke gets back to his car. He ends up running into Miss Burke, and they get into a tussle. She fucks up his car, which made me sad because it's such a nice car.
Yep.
You can see the pipe in the passenger side where it blows the smoke out.
Yeah, she was pointing that out. I was like, oh.
I was like, that wasn't there.
You probably see like the bars on the top, the show that's got a roll cage in it.
Probably.
It doesn't belong there.
So we'll edit it out in post.
She crashes through the window. She's trying to infect him to the point where though he buckles his seatbelt, he crashes into the bus, and she shoots out the windshield and her head gets fucking taken off. And then her head grows little legs and just spiders its way away. It's like, oh, that's another Thing reference.
Yep.
And I love her. I love the expression on her face. This is like,
Yep.
Love her body
away.
trying to find her head.
Any movie. Hey, over here, you big fucking idiot.
Yep.
Oh my God. So you then find out that Mary Beth is the queen, because her and Stokely are having a conversation in the gym, and that's when she kind of exposes herself and becomes the queen. She becomes this gigantic slug and chases Stokely into the pool. This is a really cool scene, by the way, where she's running around Stokely's running around the pool, and Mary Beth, the slug, jumps in, and it's like a very Jaws-like scene where it's like the water, you could see it coming, and it ends up grabbing her with the tentacles, drawing her underwater.
Well, at this point, Casey's showing up too, because he's around during this. Not the initial, like when she starts chasing, but he's in the pool because he's like, "Oh God, we gotta get her out of the pool."
Yeah.
And then when she does,
because he just shows up like, "Oh, I made it back," and he's like, "What the?"
Yeah, exactly. And then like when she grabs Stokely and pulls her in, she just fucking hits her face on that tile and just blood. And I'm like, oh.
Yes, she was profusely bleeding in the pool.
Yeah, she gets.
But I like
up.
the scene where you see behind Stokely and you just see the slug. Like it's not there, and then it is. It just slowly fades in. I thought that was really cool.
It's a great scene. This whole ending is actually really cool.
Yep.
So they escape. She is able to go back into her human form, and Mary Beth's just naked the rest of this movie. And boobies. Yeah, I didn't expect.
I mean, you guys get to talk about boobies.
There's boobies. I'm surprised there wasn't people fucking. To be honest, that never happened in this movie. I was really expecting it to.
No. I was like, oh, all right. Sure.
We have to wait for American Pie to christen that one.
So yeah, she chases them into the locker room where Casey runs back into Zeke, and Zeke doesn't trust Casey. He makes him take the drugs again. He's like, "What the fuck, man?"
Yeah, because it was trying to turn, because they were trying to turn. Mary Beth was talking to Zeke and trying to convince him that it wasn't also what's her name, Stokely.
Stokely was,
and then Zeke's like, "Why are you naked?" And then she realizes like, "Oh fuck,
yeah,
I'm naked."
Yeah. It's such a funny. Why are you naked?
Yeah,
but then you find out that Stokely is also possessed, I guess you would call it.
Probably during the water exchange it happened.
Right. So. Yeah. And you get the whole thing in the locker room. Zeke gets kind of knocked out, and then it's like, okay, we'll see you at the end.
Yep.
Not seeing you again. And you find out Zeke is the only one who was never possessed by the aliens. Like he was never actually the only one who wasn't, which is wild. So this is when you get the final showdown between Casey. Dan's leaning in real close to the mic.
Well, I was gonna say something.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, this is where you realize I was reading this and some of the trivia and stuff, so take us with a grain of salt. But I think what they're coming from is sound. When they talk about earlier in the movie, they talk about there being like a queen or a mastermind or whatever, right? Nobody calls it a queen except for Mary Beth. They call it a mastermind. She calls it a queen. So because obviously she is, so she kind of christens the idea, and then it's thought that she might not just like regularly infecting people, that like unless she has to get it started, because maybe she enjoys the hunt more, because where she's trying to convince Stokely to be possessed, not just to take her by force right away necessarily. Right. She's like, oh, wouldn't it be better? And then she mentions a few times later, because you mentioned why when she was making out with Zeke, why didn't she do it then?
Yeah, she didn't want to.
Yeah, because she felt bonded with him and with all of those guys. It wasn't just, she even says at the point, like, even me being the way I am, you guys can hurt me, like acting the way you're acting, because she was friends, and she's of a higher intelligence apparently, that she could perceive them as friends, or at least something she has a care of some extent about. So,
Yep.
she did all the babies inside of everybody else.
Mhm.
But go ahead, you finish. But that was just some stuff I read I thought was interesting.
So yeah, so the fact that like Zeke is knocked out for the rest of the movie, Stokely gets locked in the equipment cage, and so it's now down to Casey versus Mary Beth, and she gives her villain speech about making the world a better place and how she wants, you know, all the fact of like humans suck and all that stuff. And I like the fact though where she's walking, like it's Mary Beth's naked body walking down the center of the locker room, but it's got all the shadow with the
Yep.
tendrils and all that around her. I thought that was really cool imagery.
I like how her speech ends, because she gives this grandiose speech in case she's like, well, you can suck my dick, and she's like, oh, fine, if you're gonna be that way. It's not even that she's mad about it, she's just like, fuck, this is an inconvenience.
It's fantastic. So she chases Casey into the gym, and he runs like behind the bleachers, and you get the really cool scene where does she hit the button on accident? The button that closes the bleachers, or did he?
I think he does, but I could be remembering wrong.
It was him.
Yeah, it probably was. I think he like ran in and like hit the button as he was going, knowing that she was going to follow him.
Yeah.
So the button gets activated for the bleachers to get retracted back in, and it's really cool because the CG doesn't look terrible. It's 90s CG, so I'm not going to judge it too harshly. Especially the budget it had, $15 million. That's not a lot of money.
Yep.
And it gets right to the end where it kind of squishes her, and it turns into a practical slug, which I thought was really cool.
It looked good.
And he stabs it in the eye with the last remaining bit of drugs.
It's like 3 pens, like 2 or 3 pens, because it's not just one. It's like
multiple, because she's bigger,
like
so of course you got to use more.
Yeah.
And yeah, she dies, but she ends up spitting up a bunch of slugs into his face, and it's a really cool image where the worms the fucking slugs just.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, I'm gonna give you a visual. It's like a bukkake, like an alien bukkake. It's like a buckshot of slugs and juice.
God damn. Never fails.
Not
But
at
I love
all.
it where he's just like, he's like screaming and stuff, but then she ends up dying, so the slugs end up falling out and dying themselves, because once the queen dies, all of them die.
Phantom Menace style, yo.
Mm-hmm. Oh Lord. You find everybody's back. You get the scene where Zeke wakes up magically and he's like, oh guys, I'm so glad everybody's okay. Let's go see our friends. I wonder if they survived. I don't know how this all works. But I guess everyone who gets possessed, it just ends for them. But what about did the principal come back to life?
Her body melted. I don't think she came back to life.
What about Miss Burke came back? And her head came off her body. Yeah, she was in the stands at the end. She waves it. Because Zeke is playing football, which doesn't make any sense to me. The fact that he joins the football team is so stupid. It's so stupid.
He's on these guys changing their roles.
I love he's smoking a cigarette on the field. The coach is giving him shit. I'm like, what? And then Miss Burke, she's in the stand. She's like waving at him all like, okay, so Zeke's fucking a teacher. That's not weird. And
because Miss Burke, yeah, she got her whole head.
She got her head chopped off. Yeah.
Apparently they're good at fixing stuff, but like a melted body, it's like we can't do nothing with that.
Yeah.
And fingers missing.
Yeah, because he didn't get his fingers back.
No, and he has an eye patch on his eyes.
Well, if you think about it, though, the people that didn't get anything fixed, they were injured or killed immediately within the time that they were administered the diuretic. So the slugs couldn't fix them because, like, he lost his fingers and, like, immediately was stabbed in the eye, and the stuff started doing. So if the slugs are dying, they can't repair the body.
Right.
So, and then what's her name melted. So she got shot in the head, then thrown all in her face, and just blah.
Yeah. Stan.
Can fix that.
What now?
I don't think you can fix that.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't enjoy a baby powder facial either, but
Oh. Stan and Stokely are a couple, and Stokely is wearing bright colors now. Like she doesn't dress like a goth anymore. And you're like, oh, okay. I guess defeating aliens changes your choice of clothing.
I
Sure.
guess.
And Casey and Delilah are a couple. I was like, all right, that's another weird one for me, but sure, I'll take it. And yeah, you find out that he is like a big time hero now by the news. Like the news always wants to talk to Casey, but pretty much everybody denies what happened. Like people are still talking like, well, we don't know what happened here at the school.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
I do want to give a special shout out to earlier in the movie. I forgot to mention this, that like this is all like these characters like changing roles or becoming accepted or whatever fucking analogy they're using for it. But I want to give like a special shout out to Stan, because he's like one of the few people in this movie before all the shit goes down where he's like, I'm gonna do something different with my life.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to be he's like, they changed my D to an A. He's like, fuck that. I earned that D. Don't change that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I liked his character early in the movie.
His character
like,
wasn't bad. I feel like they kind of took him out too early. I don't feel Casey should have been the final like person. I think Stan fit that a little bit better. Just kind of the role. I mean, yes, I guess you give it to the guy who gets his ass beat every day to kind of give him that status, but I think, or just have them both be part of it. Like, there's always got to be that one person who does it. Like, no, the fact that like Stan goes out there and then gets possessed and then you never see him until the end. You're like, oh yeah, there's that guy.
Let our victors be the nerd and the fucking drug dealer. Fucking standard we setting today. I'm just kidding.
Oh, but that's it, guys. We get the final like run through of all the characters with their actors' names. I love John Stewart's is my favorite because he's got the bandages on his hand trying to hold up a coffee cup. He's just got an eye patch. He's like, so good.
Yeah, it's like where? Yeah, I like the little roll where it shows everybody. It's nice.
It's great. And that's it. That is The Faculty from 1998. You have any final thoughts on this wonderful film before we move on to our end of show rigmarole?
Just go watch it. You won't be disappointed.
It's a good monster movie, dude. Legit. Like it's good.
So this is another movie that kind of, I mean, this actually has a Blu-ray. I mean, so does Phantoms, but
they're both UK releases, aren't they?
Yeah, but so none of the Faculty physical copies have any behind the scenes stuff. They don't have any bonus features.
Now, this movie at least did reasonably successful in its time.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that.
I think the major thing is because of the Weinsteins, because they still own the rights to most of the stuff, and Miramax, who's the distributor. But we're seeing Scream. The Scream movies are being put out in 4K. I know Paramount put out Scream 1 and 2, and I think they just did I Know What You Did Last Summer on 4K. So maybe there's some hope. Hopefully the Weinsteins will sign over their rights and they can put these movies.
That'd be nice.
Some good transfers.
I deserve it.
They sure do, because this is a fun one. But if you want to watch this movie, it's on HBO Max as well, and it's on Hulu. So you got a couple options, which Phantoms didn't have many options if you wanted to watch it, unless you wanted to rent it or watch it.
I have one thing.
DVD.
One thing to say: the lady that played Mrs. Brummel.
What's her last movie?
Her last movie was Dr. S Battles the Sex Crazed Reefer Zombies.
The movie.
And she was a zombie in it.
Hey, dude, you got to go out. I understand.
She's been dead for a while, 13 years now.
Damn.
That's
the year she passed away. Wow. She was in What About Bob? I love that movie. Golly.
I keep getting told to watch that.
What About Bob? Richard Dreyfuss? Bill Murray? Richard Dreyfuss. I love Richard Dreyfuss. She was in The Majestic? Mystic River?
Young Girls.
Good movies. Yeah.
Live free or die.
Allegedly, they're good movies.
That's it. That
Live
is The
free or die.
Faculty. What a fun movie to talk about. Very excited to continue talking about horror or horror adjacent, because next week we're going to be bringing back somebody who has been on the show but hasn't joined us with Dan and Angela. We are bringing the wonderful, I'm just going to say the wonderful hosts of Podcast in the Woods, because I don't know if one or both will be part of next week's episode. So I'm just going to say the wonderful hosts of Podcast in the Woods are going to be joining us next week to talk about Predator from
There's more than one host?
1987. Yes, there's two of them. There's Boomer
Sorry to
and
interrupt.
Gabby.
I don't know, dude. There's too much girl on this podcast as I is. I can't take another one.
Oh no.
Just kidding.
Oh no. Let's not put a stigma on our show.
Dude, I'm just kidding. Good lord. I'm fine with
Shove
it.
that
I don't give a fuck. I like having more people to talk about stuff. And
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to covering this fucking movie because she's not seen all of it. Maybe seen all of it.
So yeah, with this whole, so we talked about the latest entry into the Predator series, Prey, a month and a half ago. And so
Yeah.
it's awesome to then go back to the beginning, to where it all
Yeah.
started back in 1987, because I don't know the last time I actually watched Predator,
Been a
but
while.
I'm very excited because I remember this movie just being fucking a fun time. I mean, with early effects, great performances by just the manliest men to ever walk this planet.
the best fucking
Oh, we'll talk
handshake,
about
high
that.
five.
Oh, we'll talk
Boom!
about it, baby.
There's so much man
Oh,
in that shot.
so much sweat.
Dude,
gonna be a
it's so
great time.
It's so masculine. If you don't get an erection, there's something fucking wrong with you. But it's not anything bad. It's just like I got it kind of thing.
I'm a lady. What's
It doesn't have any. Does not affect women at all. All these sweaty bros, it's all dudes. Like it's
Literally,
okay.
There's one
It's
woman.
okay.
There's one woman in this movie.
It's okay if you get a boner. You just don't make eye contact.
What the fuck is happening?
you let him on the show? That's what's happening.
True.
This is all you.
No, this is a stellar film. I
Felt you
cannot
guys were a
wait to
package
fucking
deal.
do it.
I had to ask one. Both of you had to show up.
That's true. It's you get the good, you get the bad.
He's
Good
like
bad.
that kid. He's like that kid.
Clearly,
He's like that kid on the playground. It's like, can I play with you guys too?
it's like you have that one guy who's your friend. Like, yeah, you guys want to hang out? I was like, yeah, I can hang out, but I gotta bring my younger brother. You're like, shit.
Oh
Right, that's
no,
me.
not the younger
called-
brother.
It's called sandbagging.
They won't let me play.
And that younger brother
Oh.
steals all your friends, and then you have no friends.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking from experience.
Oh, is this why he's not on the show anymore?
No, I'm just kidding. It's a joke. No, it's just funny that me and my brother have the same like best friend. It's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, Predator. I'm very excited to. Hopefully, we'll have both Boomer and Gabby on the show. But if it doesn't work out that way, I'm happy with either one or both. Very excited.
That'd be dope, dude.
I'm
Have
just
another
always
couple
excited
on
to
here.
have guests. It's great. I love when
It
when I
is.
ask people to be on the show and they say yes, and I go,
Alternate
I wasn't expecting
opinions.
that answer. Yes, it's wonderful. Also, we are going to be talking about Black Adam. That's something that should be out before you guys listen to this episode. We're going to be doing a fresh cut on Black Adam, and then we'll announce what we're going to do our next fresh cut on. Wakanda Forever's coming out, so that'll probably be our next one.
Yeah.
So,
So excited.
we might still do Hellraiser, but to be honest, if we do Hellraiser, we might just do an episode on it, like an actual podcast episode, just because it's been so long. And I really need to. I still have like 4 or 5 different podcasts that I listen to that are still talking about Halloween Ends, and my brain is melting with all these Halloween End reviews.
Oh my. Yeah. Yep. Movie Dumpster just did theirs. I need to
It's
listen
so
to it.
good.
I
People
need to. I have
watch it.
not.
It's so good. It's so
Please
good.
watch
I
it.
mean, what don't they make? But also, I wanted to shout out again another show that I listen to religiously every week. Well, I actually watch their pod. It's one of the few podcasts I actually watch. Hack the Movies. They covered The Faculty about month ago, and it's very good. So you should check that out either before or after you check out ours. And check out.
And a reminder. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Going. Go.
And a reminder. Again, that's not the reason we're covering this show. Blame fucking Dustin.
Yeah, Dustin.
If you're like, why are you? Yeah, we're not copying. Blame him.
Yeah, Dustin from Flicks and Friends podcast requested it because I was not prepared for a movie to cover. So there we go. And I'm happy we did it.
Yep.
You guys all expect all this rambling at the end of the show, so don't get mad.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know how this works. Yeah, exactly. You could have tuned out 10 minutes ago.
Absolutely.
We're still figuring shit out. Well, not really. We haven't really talked much about it, but we're sluggishly figuring out what we're going to do with the Patreon that I haven't even started yet. It's going to come, even if it comes in 2023. Like I said last year at the end of 2021, it's like, hey, guys, it'll probably be out in 2022. Well, now I'm saying hopefully it'll be out by 2023. Oh, I also didn't mention, as you're listening to this, the same day that this comes out, we're going to be doing a live show to talk about October. We're going to be talking about all of our Halloween Spooktober episodes and what else, Dan? What else we got going on?
Don't forget to read the comments about the movie.
Oh, yes. We do have comments. God damn it. I'm
just cut this in earlier.
Yeah, I know.
Just cut this and move it forward.
Let's...
No, it just hit me because you were talking about, we're doing a live show. We could talk about stuff. And I was like, oh, fuck! The comments!
The comments! All right, so we don't really have a lot of comments that like say like what they thought about the movie other than they just think it's awesome or they need to see it. Our first one is from the Wheel of Horror podcast, who said, damn, I haven't seen this in forever. And then Angela yelled at them. It was all out of love.
You did what? You just like disrespected them?
She just said, go watch it now.
What are you waiting for?
We have Philly's finest 88. Philly, I love you, buddy, even though your team just smoked mine today. He said, pretty good movie. Thanks for the comment. Appreciate you. We have Seismic Cinema. They said, haven't seen this since I was a wee kid, but remember it being creepy as hell. Need to rewatch it now. Yes. And then somebody commented, spoilers. Is this the one with the water-hungry creature? Yes. They said, wow, it's been ages since I've heard about this movie. I loved watching it for the first time when I was a kid.
Watch it again.
Yes, watch it again. But yes, thank you for all the comments. I appreciate you. We try to get it out the day before we record. Maybe I'll try to do a couple days before just to kind of give people some time. But hey, that's all cool. So yeah, Predator next week. We have a live show happening the day that you listen to this. It's going to be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on twitch.tv/dissect that film. I decided I'm just going to do it on Twitch for now until I can figure out YouTube. I haven't had the time to kind of get everything set up for that. So I'm just going to do it on the Twitch page. So yeah, twitch.tv/dissect that film. We're going to be doing our live show. We're just going to be, it's an hour-long show where we talk about, what we've done for the month, numbers wise, talk about the episodes, talk about the amazing guests we had on, all that fun stuff. It's just us shooting the shit as we do every single time we do a show. So, but this time it's live. So if you want to watch us, make sure to go to twitch.tv/dissect that film, drop a follow, turn on the notifications so you know exactly when we're going to be live. I'll be putting out posts on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, I guess, before we're going to go live. Yeah. We have.
I haven't. I'll start getting some stuff together to get our Pornhub page updated.
Yes, please. I was thinking about starting an OnlyFans.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. Before we go off too long, since I feel like we're just rambling on and on and on. We appreciate all the love and support you guys share on the shows, on the YouTube and all the podcast services. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Good Pods or anywhere you can rate or review us, please do so. We have a lot of people who listen to us on Apple Podcasts where you can rate, or you can literally leave us a review. You don't have to leave us a review. Just give us give us the 5 stars. All right. Help us out. We want to be able to get into more ears, since this is a very saturated,
media
topic.
Medium.
Yeah. We talk about movies and a lot of people talk about movies. So we want to kind of get out from all of the other
Yeah.
podcasts that are doing something very similar to us.
The fucking deluge.
And on Good Pods, you can do the same thing. And that's where I listen to my podcast primarily. You can literally rate and review individual episodes, or you can do the show as a whole. So please, if you listen to us on either place, please do that. Also, if you would listen to us on Spotify, rate us 5 stars. That also helps as well. And if you watch us on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate you. And even if you listen to us, go over to that YouTube. Just drop us a sub. Leave us a comment, because I want to see more comments on the YouTube. Even if you don't watch the video, but you listen to us, just leave us a comment on the YouTube, and then I can read it on the next show, because I want to start doing that more.
YouTube.
Thank you so much, everybody. Until next time, I am Brett Parker. That is Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming. We are Dissect That Film, and this has been the Dissect That Film podcast, episode 78. We'll see y'all again next time.